Let's go back to Cape Town, where Diabo Seto is standing by with a mining analyst. Over to you, Diabo.
Francis, thank you very much. You'll remember that the Mining Indaba has a lot of sessions, Francis, that happen each and every hour. There's different sessions that happened. Two that particularly caught my attention today was a session on mining dialogue and another session on governance. It was with it's a Kojo Pusia on the mining sustainability of Africa and what we can do and some of the important things that we should be undertaking as a continent to make sure that we grow. But I have a mining analyst with me, Mamokgethi Molopyane. She's a mining analyst, quite a regular face that you may recognize, and she attended most of these sessions, particularly these two that I'm referring to, and she'll tell us what are the two salient points that stood out for her that think we should perhaps take them into account. Mamokgethi, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
If you could just give us your view on what you think stood out in those two sessions that you attended today.
Well, if you look at it, one of the key issues that came out of a session that Coach Obusia of African Union Commission was in, was about policies. He was saying African governments were caught napping during the mining super cycle session, and therefore they have missed in making profits and they have missed in benefiting its people. And he blamed it mostly on poor policy structure, on the fact that African governments' mining policies are often medium term and do not have the necessary long-term vision needed to undertaking for mining. But more importantly, he said, even when they have those policies, they are lacking in strategy as to how are they going to unfold their mining policies as African government.
This is the same point that the Minister of Mines yesterday pointed to, that the industry has been caught napping indeed, and that this is a time to advance beneficiation. What are your thoughts on that?
The minister was right in saying that, and not just at an industry level, at a policymaker level, saying, and it touches more on what Kojo had said, but also in the recurring theme within that dialogue on African mining governance and policies, to say, what is it that you governments are doing before the super cycle boom picks up? Because we know that mining is an up and down industry. So this coming years, you're going to be seeing a slowing down in commodity demand, but the next coming 5 years might be a pickup in time. And he had said, let us make sure that those of us who are leading policies, those of us who are policy developer and critical policy inputters, let us make sure that when mining picks up, it finds African countries' mining policies very clear on what it wants to do, very clear on beneficiation, very clear on sustainability of community development, but more importantly, very clear on what it must do on workers and workers' benefits.
The issue of the MPRDA is quite a popular issue, or rather one that is spoken mostly about, particularly in the local context. And I got a sense that for some reason the mining industry was more or less comforted by what the minister was saying. Am I correct?
Yes, you are. But also they were expecting him. Remember, the Mineral Resources Act, MPRD Act, the bill has been over and over rehashed. If you go back as far back as 2010, the industry was hoping to hear what the minister had exactly said, in saying we are making sure that the bill is in the process, we are speeding up the process of finalizing it. The intention is to make it in such a way that it is sorted, it's finalized, and when it's done, we no longer have to go back to revise it, because we want to give you, and here's the key word that the investors wanted to hear, we want to give you the very policy certainty that you've been asking us, South Africa, over our mining policies.
I had a chat with AMCU this morning, and they were saying that a conference such as this one, the Mining Indaba, does very little for them if it's not going to do much for the workers. What are your thoughts on labor issues going forward?
I have to agree with that, and not just at AMCU. When you look at the NUM, these are the issues that workers are raising, to say it is fine, you can have investing in Africa Mining Indaba, but why is it that on your agenda, on your programs, there is not a clear designated slot that features labor? And by that we do not necessarily mean labor that tends to be seen as leaning towards business, but labor that seems to be saying contradictory thing. And I think that is the thing that is missing for this mining Indaba. Many years later, this is probably the 7th one, many years later, they still does not have sessions that are included that focuses on labor. And for as long as they exclude labor, whether it's AMCU, whether it's NUM, whether it's any other sectors that are servicing the mining industry, I do not see how they are going to find ground on that. I'm aware that is a conference for investors. That is clear, but investors are not coming to invest in a vacuum place. They are coming to invest in mining that are made possible by workers. And for as long as they are not talking with workers, I feel they are missing some of the key audience that they should be talking to.
Mamokgethi Molopyane, thank you very much for your time and for your input. Thank you very much. Francis, that was Mamokgethi Molopyane. She's a mining analyst attending the Mining Indaba with us, sharing her thoughts on different issues that we've seen here happening, labor issues, policy certainty, Africa mining, and expansion of African resources. And tomorrow we will be making sure that we cover all the other sessions for you and we bring them for you on Business Review.